What's going on, Facebook Live? Hey guys, Harding Ison-Bowman here. I just got out of a workout, and sometimes the creativity starts to just hopping in there while I'm working out. So instead of waiting and trying to remember this and write this down and turn it into a blog post, I'll just do all that later once I look back at this video. Man, I got distracted. I just saw a gentleman getting out of his car here, about to go in the gym, and these clouds of smoke were just rolling out of his car. I thought his car was on fire for a second there, but I guess he was just getting a couple hard vapes in before he goes and works out. Hey, good luck with that, bruh. All right, so 3 things here that I think you should know, and I'm kind of talking to the 18 to 24-year-old crowd right now, especially dudes, because y'all are hot-headed and you won't get your head out of your hiney until you're like after you're about 25 and up anyway. And girls too, especially if you're raised around drama. Okay, so, I'll look back on what can I provide, what can I share out of my experiences when I was younger and kind of coming up along the way. Not that I have it all figured out now, but I think a lot about the times when I was out of the house. It was after 18, 19 and up. But I was still, not great and not experienced at being an adult. And one of the key situations that you have to learn how to be good at is having roommates, because you're out from under mom and dad's roof and you're going to have to probably split the bills with somebody, and be it in the college dorm or a flop house you're renting, and just coming back to crash between shifts of your jobs that you're working, whatever you're doing. You're probably going to end up with roommates living in a situation under one roof with 1, 2 or more other people. And I look back and I'm like, man, I could have handled that a lot differently and probably had, better peace in the relationship inside the house there with my roommates. Maybe a little bit less conflict or friction or drama. And I think these are just great foundational ideas to help you build on and take into other relationships as you go. So here they are, 3 key ideas, 3 key practices you can use to have a happy and peaceful situation with your roommates. This is golden stuff. I should be charging money for this, but I'm going to throw it out here because I love you. All right, so you only get 5 complaints. If somebody left their socks out on the living room floor, if somebody, forgot to put the dishes in the dishwasher, if somebody, said they were going to follow through on something and forgot, whatever the situation is, no matter how minor or how grave the mistake was, or whether or not you believe it was intentional on their part, you only get 5 complaints. I'm talking about in the lifetime of the relationship. If you're going to be roommates with this person for 6 months, 3 years, try to set in your mind the idea, for the entire time that I live with this person, I only get to make 5 complaints. And what does that do? It just forces you to not only be more tolerant, but come up with other ways to problem solve, maybe prevent things from happening and in the future, to come up with better ways to peacefully communicate and express that you're displeased about something, but without complaining. And by the way, that's possible. You don't have to complain just to express that you're not pleased with something. So you only get 5 complaints. Set that as a rule. And man, I don't know about you guys, but complaints weaken my faith, man. Complaints weaken my happiness. They are like my kryptonite. I cannot hardly stand to be around the nagging and complaining type of verbal output that somebody might be bringing to the table, especially if I'm close to that person. And when you're roommates with people, I don't know about you, but I just don't know how to compartmentalize things in my life and be like, all right, over here, these are my work people, and here we're roommates and we're living together, but we are really not like in any sort of relationship, and you are just the people I live with, and I also have my friends over here, and this is not even a thing. I don't know how to do that. So, I think the best way to think about your relationships is all the cave people living in the cave together need to be bonded together as a tight unit, or else you can find out what happens, or else, you can find out whether that's a more argumentative or more prone to conflict and lack of peace if you don't think of each other as like you're together, you're comrades, you're in the same cave, you're in the same tribe together, so you should be tight. All right, you only get 5 complaints. Somebody drop in the comments, only 5. You only get 5. And there are 2 more tips I'm going to give you real quick here. All right, so this may sound super cheesy, corny, dorky, too systematic, too tight, and you want things to just kind of be organic and flow and be free and stuff. Okay, maybe, but just consider this for a moment. Schedule the chores, and the way you do that is you come to the table and you list out the top 3 things, individually list out on a piece of paper. Everybody in the house does this, individually list out on a piece of paper the top 3 things that will drive you crazy if they're not done with some sort of consistency around the house, because it's always the silly crap. It's always the silly little meaningless things that you look back on later and go, well, that wasn't really worth all that. Those are the things that cause the fights and the just that Chinese water torture of living with people, where just day after day, week after week, those small things are the ones that accumulate and cause that resentment and that irritation and the likelihood of conflict and arguments. So you want to minimize the likelihood of conflict and arguments. So there are those things, and here's how most people do it, especially if you're a young person, 18 to 24. You just never really come out and say, these are the things that if they're not done with some sort of consistency and regularity, it'll drive me crazy. You just never come out and say it. You just get all resentful, and you chew that person out or complain or whatever. Like Gibbs rules, complaint number 5. I'm not sure. You're going to have to refresh me on that, Mama. So you come to the table. Each person has come with their list of top three things that are important to them. And then you put them all on a list together. You decide how often they should be done to have peace in the household. And then you divvy them up and take turns doing them. Like, your important chore, I'm going to do yours sometimes, and I'm going to do mine sometimes. And we're all going to share and equally have equal opportunities to do all the different chores that need to be done. Why is that cool? Well, it makes sure that everything gets done in the timely fashion that's required so that everybody doesn't lose their head. And also, it's a way to kind of bond, because it's an act of service. Every time you're doing it, every time I come home and Mikey has put the dishes away, which I listed as one of my very important things that drives me crazy, I'm like thinking in the back of my mind, even though he's just thinking, well, it was on the list and we agreed to do it, whatever, I did it. I'm thinking in the back of my mind, it's pretty cool Mikey did that for me. It's like an act of service. If you've ever read the book, I highly recommend The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman, I believe is his name. Words of affirmation, hence the no complaining, and acts of service. Those are 2 of the 5 love languages that are important, and everybody has like one dominant language that they feel most appreciated when people do that. That's the concept of the book. The last one, so schedule the chores and arrange to take turns doing them, so that you're not only doing some of your own important chores that mean a lot to you, but you're taking turns doing each other's as well. So that act of service built into the scheduling of the chores will be great. It will just kind of create that sense of trust and unity and well-being, and I think it'll pay off big in the long run. No question calls. Okay, no questions asked calls. So somebody put in the comments here, schedule the chores, and I'm going to move on to the third and final tip here today. So especially if you're 18 to 24 years old, you need to be paying attention here. All right, so when you're 18 to 24 years old, whether or not you were a troublemaker or a rebel or a risk taker before, you're out from under the parental guidance. Maybe you've been on your own for a long time and you practically raised yourself, but whether or not that's the case, things sort of intensify for the person who's 18 to 24 years old, and it's more and more likely during this time that you're going to kind of fall off and make some silly decisions and experiment with some things that you haven't done in the past, or just sort of see what you can get away with and kind of test your limits, like see how much you can do and pack into your lifestyle and how many cool things you can get done. And sometimes we spread ourselves a little bit too thin, and I don't mean to suggest that anybody be proud of war stories where they acted inappropriately or did the wrong thing too late at night or anything, but if you do find yourself in a situation where you've had a little bit too much fun and it's way in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden you realize that you're in a pickle and you've got stuff to do tomorrow, and it's tempting to just get those keys and drive that car back to the pad, but you really shouldn't be doing that. I highly recommend you set up with the people in your house that you're roommates with a no questions asked anytime, day or night, call rule. And what that looks like is if it's 3 in the morning and my phone is buzzing and it's one of my roommates, I pick it up. I say, where you at? Cool, no questions. You don't have to explain anything. I'm coming to get you. And we'll figure out how to get you back to your car later. All right, so I think that's super valuable, not only to preserve life and keep anybody out of danger, but I think it's also important because not only does it communicate that, you know, the house is the sanctuary and kind of reinforce the house as being the safe home base where you can return to no matter what's going on, but you're a safe person. So, like I said before, I don't think you can separate, you know, the life you lead as roommates with somebody and not have some sort of meaningful relationship there. In best case scenario, you're a safe person, you're a non-judgmental person, and they can come back, you know, with the same sort of safety that they had at their house when they were growing up. They can still do that with you as the new roommate instead of their parents being their roommates. And they can still come back and not be judged and know that they have a safe place to crash. If, you know, just in the back of their mind, if they think that you're going to be judgmental or not pick up the phone or, you know, give them some sort of complaints or, oh man, it's so late, why are you calling me? Like, nope, no questions asked. Immediately agree to pick up that phone, find out where they're at, come get them if necessary, or whatever it is they need. It may not be a ride that they need. Maybe it's something else is going on drastic that they think is like urgent in their life right then. Thanks for the heart, baby. Love you. So no questions asked. If one of your roommates calls you, no matter what time, day or night, if they need a ride, you come get them, no questions asked, or do whatever it is that they need. And if it becomes a pattern and this is happening all the time, that's a different conversation. Y'all can sort that out later and problem solve that and see what needs to happen. But anytime, day or night, no questions asked. So somebody drop in the comments, no question call. No question call, because that's what you want to set up with your roommates. And that provides just a great sort of background of trust and security. And it'll make things a lot better in the long run, no matter how long or short you live with those people. So, all right, guys, hope this brings some value to you. My suspicion is that you hadn't thought of 2 or maybe all 3 of those, and that they will really help you out and give you a peaceful, rock-solid relationship with your roommates that you can fall back on, and it will last as long as it needs to last until everybody needs to go their separate ways, and it won't end in flames and conflict and everybody moving out on each other because there were fights. So, all right, I'm out of here. Harding Ison-Bowman. This is going to become a blog post on partnerwithgreatness.com. Go over there right now and check out the other content I've got up there for you. And bless each and every one of you. Have an awesome Saturday. Peace.